Welcome to exploring the mystical side of life.
Hi, it is Linda Lang here from ThoughtChange.com, and I'm here today with Miche Meizner from the Spoonbenders Cafe. Miche is a life coach and a spiritual advisor, and she's here to chat with me today about bending reality. Welcome, Miche.
Thanks, Linda. My favorite topic.
We both agree that reality is not as set as most people imagine. And Miche's way of helping people discover that is by bending spoons.
Right. By teaching people to bend their own spoons.
Yeah. I'd love to know how you came across the idea of spoon bending and how that shifted your perception of what's possible.
Right. Well, it was a little bit of a journey from when I first heard about spoon bending, which was listening to a metaphysical radio show. And one of the products that the woman who ran the show was using to raise money was a spoon bending kit. And it just sounded pretty intriguing. So I bought it. And with some instructions, some videos about how to, get into the zone of being able to bend a spoon. And I tried it and I bent it. And then I tried to show all my friends and family and nobody else could bend it. So I was already pretty weird in the group. And I just sort of put it aside because I didn't want to, sort of stand out anymore. And that was about 10 years ago. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago I was teaching a psychic skill building class. And I ran out of what to teach that evening. And somehow spoon bending just popped into my head, like somebody put it there. And I ran out to the nearest thrift store, bought a half a dozen spoons and gave them out and proceeded to explain how to do it. And it worked. I think 4 out of the 5 or 6 people who were there bent their spoons right then. And it's a mind-shifting experience. When that happens, you're just sitting there with this hard, stiff thing that won't bend. And then all of a sudden it bends for you. What I discovered a couple of years ago when I was doing this is it's a great way to give people an experience and proof in hand, literally, that our minds and our state of mind, energy can interact with other objects and with life and shift it.
So, Miche, great fun to bend a spoon. I've taken some spoon bending with you, and it's pretty cool to actually see how your mind can help you bend reality in such a concrete way. How does that apply to people who want to actually change their life?
In a lot of ways, it's sort of my all-purpose tool for learning and practicing how to shift our state of mind and our state of being in order to shift other things. We're always affecting other things. We just can't necessarily tell that, or we don't know. Or people who are trying to apply the law of attraction or some other manifestation process, often they are working, but they're not linear, so you cannot tell what's going on. So the thing about bending a spoon is that it's very, from point A to point B. You start, you have a result. And one of the ways that that's helpful is first to just prove that it's possible and that it's easy. And the other way is that it lets you see and feel the process in a quick moment that you can then apply to the rest of your life or other things that you want to bend. So not only do you get to see that it can be done, you also get to see, like you were saying, what's going on in your mind. So you get to see what's in the way of getting it done. And so it's also a tool to kind of shine a light on any of the beliefs or feelings that you have that are actually holding you back from getting what you want. And you can look at that and sort of adjust the dials as you go.
I think that's fantastic. You said a couple of really interesting things already. One of them being how the manifestation process isn't linear. So it's not like poof, it appears right before your eyes immediately. It gets the wheels turning, or the attraction power of the universe to draw whatever you're creating towards you. And of course, your mind or your beliefs or unresolved emotions can get in the way. And so I think actually your spoon bending experience is a really interesting way to kind of uncover what you might have inside you that has fear or self-doubt or self-worth or whatever it is that's blocking you.
Right. And in a very simple, non-threatening kind of way, to look at those things and to notice them, and to then, see where that plays into your other manifestations. But it's also often quiet. So it could, you're manifesting something and something is actually happening, but it's so subtle that, and so nonlinear, that you can't see it, you can't notice it. Potent experience. And so that's the same process that you would use in bending your life.
And so when you actually have a manifestation you are working at creating, and it doesn't turn out exactly the way you intended, it could very well be that you have some of those old fears or old baggage getting in the way, but it's more difficult to notice exactly what it is. The spoon bending is a great way to do that.
Right.
And it's not about brute strength. It's not about being strong enough to bend stainless steel.
Right. Right. The idea is to take a spoon that you cannot bend with your brute force, with just your muscles, and then go through this process of shifting and finding your moment, and then bending with ease the thing that you couldn't bend at all a moment ago. And so I also love how easy it is. When you find your spot, your zone, it's simple, and it doesn't take years to perfect, and it doesn't take hours to accomplish normally. So again, it's showing, we think with manifestation too, that you gotta, find your goal and say your goal and affirm your goal and hold on to it and vision board it and all this stuff. And those things can be helpful and they can work. You can also, like with the spoon bending, just intend for something to shift, find your state of mind, and then drop it and allow the outcome to arise.
So can you talk a little bit about the zone? Because the zone in someone's perception could be very different than what the zone actually is. Like, it's not an aggressive attack bend.
Right. And not only that, it's different for each individual because it's simple, it's pertinent to your own life. And so part of the zone is to let go of the outcome of that need, to hold on to it and control it. So that's sort of universal. Anyone kind of needs to do that, and need to be in a neutral, if not kind and loving space while you're approaching this. Well, I teach people to find like the analogy or the metaphor that works for them, that they could visualize, make up, fantasize that something in their hand, a spoon, is bending. And for me, when I first did it as a jeweler, I imagined that I was holding a torch on a spoon and getting it red hot, because I knew that red hot spoon, metal, would just bend easily under a little bit of pressure. And so that was my analogy. That was kind of what I sort of held on to or focused on as I was attempting to bend a spoon. I've helped people bend the spoon talking about molecules and how we're all energy and everything is energy. And there's so much space in energy, that there's much more space in stuff than there is stuff in stuff. And so to imagine going in between the molecules or electrons, and however, whether you feel that, whether you imagine that, whether you remember some cartoon where they did that, you step into that vision and attempt, and you may try a number of times, it won't bend, and then suddenly you're in alignment with what's going on in your hands and what's going on in your head, and you can bend the spoon.
And then the magic happens.
And it can be tricky to find your own best way in, like your key. And once you know that key, it's simple.
And does that mean from then on, no matter what, you can bend your spoon?
If only, because, then I would be going to the track or something and, betting on the horses. But no, it doesn't, because, you still always have to get into that space. And I suppose that with different objectives, the space that you need to get into can also be different. What practicing bending a spoon is about is starting to learn your own experience, your own physiology even, of when you are in that sort of balanced place and expectant but not demanding an outcome where you can bend a spoon. And to me, as I do that, I notice how I feel. There's certain like alignment or straightening up that happens within me. I tend to have a little bit of sort of tingling, buzzing in the top of my head that just lets me know that I'm in alignment. It's,
Nice.
my signal to myself. And so I practice that and try to bring that to other circumstances. Still, if you've got a lot of beliefs, or you don't even need a lot, you just need one belief that's really working against you. If you're pretty sure you can't do it, then pretty sure you can't. And if you're really nervous, if you're stressed out, that's not the place that you can bend a spoon from.
So from a place of self-awareness,
Yes.
this is actually a tool.
Right. Well, I'm sure you know that there's always things going on in our mind because you work with that a lot. I think a lot of people aren't aware of how much monologue or dialogue is going on in their heads pretty much all the time. And one of the first things I recognized when I was teaching spoon bending, or when I was doing it myself, is that as soon as you pick up the spoon, you can hear, it's like the volume goes louder on what you think about this and what your beliefs are. I'm never going to be able to do this, or, I've tried things like this and it never works, or this is ridiculous. Why am I even trying? Whatever it is, your mind is on stage in that moment and you get to hear what it's saying to you. And so for some people, that's the first clue that they have of what's going on in their minds as they try to manifest or just go about their day. And this way you can hear it, you can address it however, whenever. During the spoon bending, I suggest people just, when they hear that, notice that, just really try to set it aside. Still, it's there. And then it takes somebody like you to come in, with the NLP or hypnosis or your different processes, or, there's so many different healing modalities and ways to release these beliefs. And it's great to know that they're there so that you can address releasing them.
Well, I smile as you're talking about all the potential limiting beliefs before spoon bending, because I could so easily hear someone having that same monologue inside their head before they're doing public speaking or pushing the envelope of their life of trying something new.
Yeah, right. And that's another place where it really bridges the spoon bending into real life. Because the first thing is that you're sort of stepping into possibility with the spoon bending. And you're not saying, I know I can nail this, because you're probably not going to believe that, but you can say, it's possible, or what if it's possible? And so the same attitude toward getting up to speak in public or to write a paper or accomplish whatever project, where you're already telling yourself how hard it is and what a struggle it is and how long it's going to take you. If you drop all that and just allow for possibility. What if this time I wasn't that nervous? What if this time I felt nervous and it didn't get in my way? What if I sat down to write this paper and the words just flowed? And it allows those possibilities and more to arise, as opposed to we don't even realize we're scripting it in advance I'm going to get up on stage. My hands are going to sweat. I'm going to look at the people. It's going to make me shake. We got this whole thing. And so we're setting ourselves up for that. And like with spoon bending, you need to remove that and just sort of clear the way.
Well, I think in general, it would be a good thing to remove. That's actually the byline on my website, Open Your Mind to New Possibilities, because I really see how people create so much of their own challenges through their patterning and through their behavior, through their thoughts and beliefs. It's not something they would consciously choose, but once it gets into the unconscious, they don't even realize they're doing it. And it's really important for people to know that there are ways to shift that in the unconscious. And even by just having the magic of bending a spoon to help you shift what you think is possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like it sort of came as a download to do it that night. And it's a great tool. It's my Swiss Army knife of personal and spiritual transformation. Inexpensive, readily available, not nearly as dangerous as walking on hot coals.
So I'm going to say that spoon bending has perhaps changed your life.
Yes, it has changed my life, and it has dovetailed very nicely with my sense that I'm here in this lifetime on a big mission. My way to really share what I know and what I can teach that is really mind shifting and empowering for people. It's so simple, and it's a way that I can convey that and that people can see immediately. And then hopefully they take it from there, whether it's working with me or working with somebody else or just applying themselves in a new way to whatever it is that they want, that bending one little spoon can change your life too. And so, again, the spoon bending gives you a very clear, dynamic.
Miche, is there anything else you'd like to share with us about this whole idea or concept of being able to bend reality, bend, something physical?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, I guess it would be the overarching philosophy or understanding and underpinning. So it's the top and the bottom that everything is energy. We are energy, and we have an effect on energy, our own energy and the energy around us, meaning we have an effect on circumstances, on things like spoons. And we are always having an effect, but we don't normally know it. And so I hope that people will begin to realize that we are powerful creators and influencers in our lives. And I like to say that we are divine beings down here to experience human nature. So we already bring the capacity down here into our lives, and then we sort of have to remember what that is. But it's always with us, and we're always capable.
Oh, that's beautiful. So here we're being a little bit more concrete and using our energy consciously to shift something that's actually 3D, something we can touch instead of something that's a little bit more
intangible. How's that?
Intangible. That's a great word. Something that's a little bit more intangible. So I think it's fantastic that you help people bend spoons and show them that they really do have the potential to shift their life.
And do it easily, which also reminds me of there's a bunch of other tools that I like to teach people that are also very easy. And being so sensitive and empathic, I think, as so many of us and your listeners are, when we walk into that room where there was just an argument, we're not only maybe sensing it, but often we're picking it up. And we may find that suddenly I'm kind of cranky, I'm kind of mad, or I'm kind of, ill at ease. And like, I would immediately think it was me, right? I mean, I'm experiencing my own emotions, my own feelings, when in fact, not only we're picking up these feelings, we're taking them on. And so a really simple tool to try to discern that and get out of that is to ask, when you notice, especially a sudden change in your feelings, who does this belong to? And just asking a question can be enough to help it drop away from you, and not hold it as your own. You don't have to answer who does it belong to, just simply asking a question. And often you can feel the difference. If it's not yours, you feel it fall away. If it is yours, you're like, oh, okay. And, then you deal with that.
So are you saying that if it doesn't belong to you, that it would fall away no matter,
Yeah.
like you wouldn't have to do anything else to release it?
On a simple level, yeah. And of course there can be times where you're going to have to work a little harder, or where, maybe that one will, but if we're conditioned, we don't even know that we're just a sponge picking things up all around. You're probably going to need something more than to just ask the question.
Yeah. And sometimes what that does is we are picking up someone else's emotion, but sometimes it's also showing us where we have that in our own system. So it's kind of a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's like that tuning fork vibrating.
Exactly, exactly. And I think probably the goal is to be sovereign enough in your own space to not allow your environment to affect you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a goal, anyways, right?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, it's been fantastic chatting with you today, Miche. Would you like to share your contact info?
Yeah, sure. You can get hold of me through Facebook under Miche Shines. I've got a website is spoonbenderscafe.com. But what I'm most excited about, I guess, as far as contacting me, is my Facebook group, Spoonbenders Cafe group. And in there, I've got a 3-part intro that I've done recently to take people through this and bring in a lot of those concepts and learn in those 3 parts and actually bend a spoon and have that experience. There'll be more trainings and conversation in the group about not just spoon bending, but the other ways that our world is energy and the other ways that self-love empowers us. And Linda is invited. You're invited there yourself to hopefully do some trainings. So I think it's a great, fun, exciting place to be. And I would love to have you join me. Facebook group, Spoonbenders Cafe.
Fantastic. Well, I'll definitely put the link in the description. So once again, it's been fantastic having you here, Miche. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out some of our other podcasts and subscribe to the channel. That's it for this week. Bye for now.